One of the things that I really like about the current renaissance of tabletop gaming is not just the amount of new ideas that we have or completely new revolutionary designs, but also how modern game design is reinventing traditional concepts and something that works that you see at work in the way trick-taking games have become a lot more interesting. And Renegade Games really has done some interesting work in that department. First with The Fox in the Forest, then with Time Chase, and now with The Fox in the Forest Duet, which is a trick-taking game from the two players, and also, here's the plot twist, it is cooperative. It is the first time that I see a cooperative trick-taking game. And it has this nice poetic atmosphere. And actually, it's not just in the art. As you will see from the game, when I explain it, the mechanics also has a certain zen quality to it. It really is about the cooperating silently, because the players are not allowed to talk strategy. But also it's about the balance, and there's something almost zen about that. You have a deck of 30 cards with 3 suits, and, well, you have the numerical value, you have the suit itself. Some cards also have special powers that sometimes you can apply, you may apply, sometimes you must apply, at least that's how we interpret it from the phrasing of some of the cards. You also have here a number of footprints, which is important, and we have a card reference that tells you exactly the breakdown of each suit. That is, what the suits do, what the numbers do, the number of footprints associated, and the number of game, and the number and quality of game effects. Then we have this nice little adorable board which will go between the two players. The two players will sit at the two sides of it, and then you will place diamonds or gems or diamonds token placed on the board along the track, and simply there are on the track itself symbols that are used during setup when they tell you how many gems go there. Then we have a token that goes in the middle space. Oh, just realized we forgot that one. That goes in the middle space. As you can see, there's a track, and the token can move along this track. And when the token stops next to an area that has gem, then you take a gem and you remove it from there. And that is the general idea. If the token would move past the end of a track, then you take a forest token and you place it there, so now the path is shorter. Also, the game can last up to 3 rounds, and at the end of each round you will also place a forest token there. You win the game if you're able to collect all of the gems that are on the board. You lose the game if it's the end of the 3rd round and you still have gems on the board, or if the token would move past the last uncovered space on either side of the track, and you do not have any forest token to add. Now, but how do you actually do that? How do you move the token? How do you try to achieve victory? But again, see what I was talking about? The balance, the zen, because you want the token never to go too much one way or the other. And that's particularly important because that has to do with, well, victory and defeat of the various tricks. You have a deck of 30 cards, 3 suits, as we said. You shuffle them, then you give 11 cards to each player, and of the remaining cards, you flip one face up, and that suit is the trump suit. So each player will have a hand of 11 cards, and then you play, well, a trick-taking game. One player will lead, and you must follow suit if you can. Ooh, I can, and I could in different ways, and so I decided to follow suit this way. So, simple as that. A player plays a card, the other player plays another card. Then, if effects are triggered, then you resolve the effects from the card display, which can be important. Players may switch cards with one another, may do different things, may choose to ignore some of the effects, may choose to ignore some of the cards. But after players play their 2 cards, that's the end of that trick, and you adjudicate the trick, traditional trick-taking style, which is if trump cards were played, then the highest trump card wins. If no trump cards were played, then the highest card in the leading suit wins. In this case, I won, and the player that wins moves the tracker towards the side of the board by the number of footprints in the trick. So this would be pretty bad, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, there you go. I already go bust. But suppose I didn't go bust, and suppose there was a diamond there. Then after I move there by 5, I take that one. That also means that I really want to lose the next trick. And suppose that then I lead, and I'm trying to lead with a weak card, and I hope you can beat that one. If you beat it, then you'll move that one by quite a bunch of steps. And suppose maybe you do this. This would be better if you play when you lead, but just for this example, I play that one, so I win because that is the trump suit for this round, and I move that one by 3 spaces toward my side, toward the other side of the board. See the balance, the zen? You don't want to win too much. You want to win and lose just in the right amount. And it seems super complicated, but after a while you get a sense of how you could move the token by a specific number of spaces. But that's based on, well, what you know the player may have, because game effects may give you that information, because the way in which they're playing gives you certain information. But in any case, this is the general idea of the game. You play until either you depleted the board of all diamond tokens, or it takes you too long, or you went bust too many times. After another interesting thing that makes the game more challenging is what happens between rounds, because you do add gem tokens during the game. At the end of each round, you add more tokens in all spaces that have that symbol there, and you also by default place a new forest token at the end of each round. So that is also what makes the game challenging. Diamonds keep coming back. Forest tokens go on the board by themselves faster if you go bust and you put them there. This is how you play the Fox in the Forest Duet. The Fox in the Forest Duet. This is a really pleasant game. So simple. I mean, if you play trick-taking games, you can play this one. It's basically trick-taking games, but you move that token across the board. But that also means that you want to lose almost as often as you win. You want to lose at the right time, in the right way. And therein, of course, is the twist, is the beauty of the game. It has a certain humble quality to it. And also, part of the beauty is precisely the challenge, when it comes to the intellectual challenge, of communicating with the opponent without communicating. Sort of like how you do in Hanabi. You cannot talk, but if I perform a certain action, then my partner should try to figure out why I did that and not something else. And so from that, my partner can get a sense of what I may have in my hand, based also on the cards that were played. You can never count cards perfectly, because a part of the cards will not be used in a trick, and of course that is also interesting. But you can get a sense, and precisely that. You can develop the sort of like in Hanabi, the sort of telepathy almost. And so it's challenging. If the side of the board that I showed you becomes easier, the other side has a different configuration and it makes it more challenging, so the game will stay fresh. But I definitely like the idea of trick-taking in a cooperative fashion. I think it's very successful. I mean, it works very well. It can work as a filler, it can work at the end of a night after there were a lot of emotions going on. Then it allows maybe the two players that are left to kind of like, cool down. It creates a nice, almost contemplative atmosphere, especially I guess if the two players are in that kind of mood that they can appreciate the potential for humble, peaceful contemplation that the game has. Or I guess that somebody may still flip the table and say, "Gosh darn it, you didn't understand what I was trying to do." But that would never happen in my group, and I just don't see this happening, because this is a game that makes people good. That's how I decided that I'm gonna define it. The Fox in the Forest Duet. It makes people good. And for sure, it is also fun to play.